are changing. We're flying high, creating a complaint-free world. No more, no more complaining people. Their lives are changing. We're flying high, creating a complaint-free world. No more, no more.
It goes to this poem, and the poem is called Salutation to the Dawn. I first heard about this probably 40 years ago, and the poem, actually in its original form, dates back to ancient Sanskrit. In other words, it was probably, Sanskrit is an ancient language. It is a dead language. It is the father or the mother of all future languages, basically. And from what I understand, Sanskrit was an emotion-based language. It was more about conveying emotions than it was about conveying facts. English is about conveying facts. Sanskrit, from what I understand, and I don't understand the distinction, but from someone I know who studied Sanskrit, that is what I had heard. I want to read this to you, and this is a rewrite of, this is Kālidāsa. This is his version. He rewrote this in 1948. But the interesting thing about this is I want you to think about that this concept, this idea that I'm about to share with you dates back thousands of years. And I do mean literally thousands of years. And here it is. Listen to the salutation to the dawn. Look to this day, for it is life, the very life of life. In its brief course lie all the verities and realities of our existence. The bliss of growth, the splendor of beauty, for yesterday is but a dream and tomorrow is only a vision. But today, well spent, makes every yesterday a dream of happiness and every tomorrow a vision of hope. Look well, therefore, to this day. Such is the salutation to the dawn, saluting the dawn. This morning, after I dropped Teddy off at the babysitter, I came back and I was about to walk upstairs. And I looked at the sky and there was this breathtaking full moon over the bay. And I said, I need to go upstairs because I've got to make my bed, do the laundry, add a few things to my packing, eat my breakfast, clean up, all of those little things. You know what I'm talking about? And I said to myself, but at what cost? If I go do all of those things right now, I will always find something to fill my time. But what am I missing? And it occurred to me that morning, this morning was just so incredible to be able to walk out onto the dock in the marina with nobody around and the sun coming up behind me and beginning to paint the clouds in front of me. And that's the way it looks like. That the clouds are kind of a darkish, lightish, depending on the day, canvas. And then the sunlight coming up behind me lights the canvas. And this morning with the full moon over the bay, so I'm looking at the full moon and then the clouds begin to take on all these colors, the blues, the reds, the purples, the greens, the oranges, the everything that's in just an amazing sunrise. And then it begins to reflect off the water. And I realize that the moon is reflecting even more out of than on the water, that it's brighter on the water. This long pale strip along the water, this yellowish gold strip. And I was going to miss all that. I was going to come upstairs and do important things. And instead, I went out there and I sat. And then this thing started to call me. Do you know what I mean? Not call me, didn't ring, doesn't have to ring. It does not have to ring. I will pick it up and check it, pick it up and check it, pick it up and check it. At some point, we're going to, I think it's going to be amazing to just sit back and think how much time was spent staring at our phones, checking our phones. Zig Ziglar did this wonderful example when I went to see him. This was back when everybody wore watches. So this was 35 years ago when I first saw him, probably closer to 40, let's be honest, 35. And he talked about the fact, he told everybody to put your hands by your sides. And he said, now I want to ask you a question. On your watch face, do you have numbers or hashes? And people thought about it. He says, now, are there numbers all the way around, 1 through 12, or only at 1, 3, 6, 9, and 12, etc.? He kept asking people to describe their watch. And finally, he said, all right, now look at your watch. Raise your hand. How many of you are surprised by what you saw? And almost everybody did raise their hand. He said, now, the interesting thing is you look at your watch probably 300 times a day. Studies have found that people look at their watch 300 times a day. Now, that was back before phones. And what we would do, how many times would you do this? What time is it? What time is it? What time? So all of those count. Don't get me wrong. But it's that idea of something distracting you, the time in that case. And so my phone kept distracting me this morning, and I was so intent on practicing Zazen, which is seated Zen, just being. If it's not present in the moment, it doesn't exist. And really, that is what our lives are. Our lives are only in this moment. Our lives are only in this moment. And yet we rarely visit this moment. In short, we are rarely in our lives. We are thinking about the past. We are thinking about the future when we are sitting there on a date with somebody we wanted to go out on a date with. We're staring at our phones instead of being present. The Matrix has us. I rewatched the movie The Matrix the other day, and it's so true. We are constantly distracted by little and large issues and challenges that it keeps us hyped up and we miss being present. The interesting thing about being truly present is that you'll find that at first it feels boring. Your mind's like, I need something. And what you realize is that your mind is always going, it's just that right now you can notice it. Right now you can notice it. I talked a lot with you about breathing and the importance of breathing. And breathing can relax your body. Relaxing your body can cause you to breathe more deeply. One of the things that I've noticed is that when I am sitting there and looking at the sunrise as if it's virtual reality. Remember I told you I did that virtual reality at the Van Gogh exhibit the other day, and it was the first time? And you could look around and you could literally see all around you, and you're in Van Gogh's little rented bedroom, and then you took a walk down the street, you could see. Now, doing the same thing, virtual reality, in reality, is what makes reality all that much sweeter. In other words, looking at things with a sense of wonder. You know what mindfulness means, being mindful? It means being present without judgment. That's it. It means being present without judgment. The sounds that you hear are the sounds that are around you. I reminded myself this morning there was a heron, a great heron that was, my phone app told me that there was a heron around. And there's a song that's been going through my head. In fact, it's our song of the day. Defying Gravity from Wicked is going to be our song of the day. And what I noticed was, yes, I heard the heron. Now see if you can relate this. I know you can. But I was playing a loop of Defying Gravity over and over and over and over again in my head, just playing it. We do that. We run soundtracks in our heads. We run words in our heads. Sometimes I will run a person's name that I've heard over and over in my head. Our brains do not want to be bored at any cost. But it's at that moment of boredom that you tap into who you really are and you relax and you actually are living life. The rest of the time you're in the matrix. It's not easy being present. So many people have used the term present, present moment. This moment is present. It's here. It's present. And it's present. It's a present, rather, when we are present to it. Let me read this to you one more time. I want to read this entire Salutation to the Dawn because there's part of it that most of us don't hear usually. Listen to the Salutation of the Dawn. Look to this day, for it is life, the very life of life, and in the brief course lie all the verities and realities of our existence. In other words, today is the only life you ever have, and all the good stuff that happened before and all the bad stuff that happened before are memories. And all the good stuff that's going to happen in the future and all the bad stuff that's going to happen in the future are worries or projections. But this is it. So be present to this day. And when you're present to this day, you handle the day better. Think of it that way. The more present you are to the day, the better you handle the day. This is the part that I don't often hear in the Salutation to the Dawn. Here's what's in this day. The bliss of growth. This makes me think of you, Ed Wilmot. The bliss of growth. That's the kind of stuff you talk about. We feel the bliss when we grow. Yesterday, I was trying to reinstall an electronic door lock on my front door. I can tell you this now. I installed it a year ago, and I installed it wrong so that all you had to do was push the brand name and you could unlock my door. But I fixed it yesterday. As I was going through it, I was struggling to fix it. You have to have the cam down. You have to have this back. And I'm not a real fix-it guy. And inside, I felt this anxiety and this frustration start to build. It was very minor. And then I reminded myself how great I would feel when I finished this. So I decided to just stay present and keep trying. And soon I did. It was not a big deal. But being present to it, the bliss of growth, I got more out of figuring out how to fix my door than I did fixing my door. The splendor of beauty. How often do you make sure that beauty is in your life? Do you look for beauty? And then it goes on to say, for yesterday is but a dream and tomorrow is only a vision. But today, well spent, makes every yesterday a dream of happiness and every tomorrow a vision of hope. The more you're into today, the better you feel about yesterday and the more you look forward to tomorrow. Then it concludes, look well, therefore, to this day. Such is the Salutation of the Dawn. And I want to thank you all again for always being here to salute the dawn with me. That really makes me happy very much.
No more complaining people. Their lives are changing. We're flying high, creating a complaint-free world. No more complaining people. Their lives are changing. We're flying high, creating a complaint-free world. No more